run colder. I lead it, Persian, Steve, and Mystic. Whole squad locked in, we go ballistic. Game time grind, it's a takeover. Whistle get blown, we break the quota. From the first hot take to the closer. This our season now. Move over. Clock hit zero, that's pre-show pressure. 3 deep crew, that full court measure. I lead a Persian, flame on the mic, breaking down plays like he called that hike. Steve with the stats, the ice in the vein. Sees every route, every yard, every lane. Mystic calling future, seeing through smoke. Predictions hit hard like a safety stroke. Game time grind, it's a takeover. Run, let's go up, lights run colder. I lead the Persian, Steve, and Mystic. Whole squad locked in, we go ballistic. Game time grind, it's a takeover. Whistle get blown, we break the quota. From the first hot take to the closer. This our season now. Move over. Line 'em up. Who on heat? Who on heat? Saturday legends on the midweek scene. Who on heat? Kick off, talk till the sun goes down. New kings here, that's a title bout. Game time grind, it's a takeover. Run, let's go up, lights run colder. I lead the Persian, Steve, and Mystic. Whole squad locked in, we go ballistic. Game time grind, it's a takeover. Whistle get blown, we break the quota. Game time grind, say the name louder. This our season now. Full power. There's a row of names in stone by the ball field gate. White roses in the early sun on a day called Memorial Day. A folded flag on a porch rail, a child with a quiet stare, a mother tracing every crease like she can still reach there. We stand still, heads bowed low, for the ones who won't come home. Every mile they carried us lives in the lines we know. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your life. We remember every face. We remember every fight. You gave all you could give so we can live free. Thank you for your sacrifice. We will carry you with me. We will carry you. We will carry you. We will carry you. There's a boot print in the dust on a garage floor, a name tag tucked in a drawer, and a prayer behind the door. Gold stars in a framed up glass on a mantel shelf. Little hands can't hold enough for the ones that gave themselves. We stand still, heads bowed low, for the ones who won't come home. Every mile they carried us lives in the lives we.
You're muted, Ollie.
You're muted, brother.
Had to be happen on something that's really important to me.
I know today is the I know today is the day after Memorial Day, right? And we remember. For me, let me start over a moment. I'm gonna tell you guys some truths real quick. So, for those that don't know, I am a veteran of the United States military, right? I was in the Air National Guard for over 6.5 years. I served in a war zone. I was in Kuwait during a period of time. I've been all over the world. And people that don't know, I'm also like third or fourth generation military in my family, right? My great uncles, my grandfather, my uncles, myself, my cousins. In fact, me and my cousins went to boot camp together 4 days after graduation. All three of us. I will never forget it. And then my little cousins, my cousin's brother, obviously, a couple years later joined suit, right? So the tradition lives on, and you think about everything that you do in life, right? We have freedoms. And these freedoms that we have is because somebody sacrificed themselves so we could have them. And that's why Memorial Day is really important. So I'd written like a small speech, and I know today's the day after, but technically every day should be Memorial Day to me. So we pause to recognize brave men and women who give everything to service to our country. The heroes we sacrificed their futures so generations after them could chase the same dreams or their own dreams. Memorial Day is more than just one long weekend. It's a reminder of courage, duty, sacrifice, the strength that defines America, to be honest. And when you look at it, when it comes to college football, for example, college football may seem far from sacrifice, but the connection is real. Every Saturday tradition, every packed stadium, every marching band, every rivalry, in every opportunity for young athletes to compete exists because of the freedom protected by those who served. College football is built on teamwork, discipline, resilience, commitment to something bigger than yourself. Values shared by the men and women we honor today. So we celebrate football and look ahead to another season. We also remember those who made it possible. Their legacy lives on not just in remembrance, but in how we live and compete and to come together as a community. So here at 4th and 10, we thank you all. We thank you to all the fallen heroes. We remember you today as we will remember you tomorrow and forever. So thank you for all those who have served and sacrificed for this country. We will always remember you. So thank you. I had to get that off my chest, and I wanted to share that. Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon for the several people watching all over the internet. Steve, Mystic, how was your Memorial Day weekend? How was everything?
Wonderful, busy, eventful, filled with sunburns. But we're here. We're tired, but we're ready to have a good time.
I'll tell you what, if anyone needs to be tired, it needs to be me, because if you didn't know, we didn't have a show last week. That was my fault. We were going to have something pre-recorded, but it was my fault. It didn't happen. I had other things on my mind. But I went up to Georgia for my daughter's graduation, and it was like a 13-hour drive. The drive down from Georgia to Florida is not too bad. For whatever reason, it just feels like getting out of Florida takes forever, especially coming from Port St. Lucie, because it takes like 4.5, almost 5 hours just getting to the border of Florida and Georgia, to be honest. Cutting over on the turnpike to 75 and then taking 75 north takes forever. So it was fun. I got to hang out in Marietta. We went to this food court. I was telling Steve backstage that was really badass, and they have some really cool shops and stuff like that there. And And then, did you guys see that graduation in Tennessee or someplace like that? That was like, it was like a monsoon storm, and they forced all the students and parents to still go through the ceremony right in the middle of the storm. Did you guys see that?
No, that is crazy.
Yeah, it was all over the internet. It was on Fox News and everything. It was crazy. And and I'm watching it. Even the video you see, it's like you could see lightning. It's pouring down like hurricane style water. You know what I mean? It's like not like windy, but like that hard of rain, right? And they're making them go through the graduation ceremony. My daughter's graduation. Now, one, it did rain, and we thought that they were going to have a lightning delay because you could see lightning. But they did offer everybody, come to the cafeteria or the gym, to seek shelter and everything. But the parents were like, we're already in here, and it was super hot. So to be honest, it nobody really wanted to go and seek shelter. We liked the rain because it was cooling. But that's not why they delayed the graduation. On graduation day, 15 minutes before you're supposed to graduate, two students decided to start a brawl in wherever they were gathering. And the sheriff's department had to get involved and arrest people and everything. It was nuts. So they arrested, from what I understand, like one or two students were arrested and they didn't get to graduate because of it. But talk about what a worse timing to do something like that, right? You're 15 minutes away from graduating and you start a fight. Does that make sense? What do you guys think? Is that kind of crazy? Like worst day ever. Your family's there. Maybe family came out of town to see you graduate? You were going to say something, Steve. I didn't mean to cut you out.
No, you're good. I was going to say, I mean, that's crazy. It's not as crazy as the year above me. So my junior year, that senior class, theirs got delayed because somebody decided to streak with their hat on.
Hey, yo.
And it was not a male.
Everybody in the chat, if there's somebody you think on this panel that you think would streak with the hat on and at a graduation, which one of us would it be? My vote is on Mystic. Oh, me and Steve are thinking alike already. We think Mystic is going to be the guy. Put it in the chat who you think would be the streaker, to be honest.
That's wild. I see how it is. It really be your own people these days.
So that didn't happen at my graduation, but something did happen a couple days before graduation. As a senior prank, not my graduation, but like I think it was my freshman or sophomore year it happened. As a senior prank, a student filled a counselor's car filled with liquid marshmallow. That actually happened. So
that's crazy.
Talk about, dude, that car is like wrecked. You already know it's already totaled. That kid probably got arrested. I don't know what happened, to be honest, but that was nuts. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe if you're brand new. Turn on the notification bell. We have a good show today. We're going to be talking about the Mid-American Conference. You're probably wondering, why are you talking about the Mid-American Conference? We don't want to hear about them. What do they matter? Well, every year it seems like these lower end teams are starting to become better and making the playoffs. We're going to talk about them. But shout out to Michael K, a.k.a. Suicide, a.k.a. Michelle K. I sometimes call him that. Shout out to Vamos. How you doing, sir? Let's see. Who else is in here? Some guy, Mystic 515. Yeah, I think he's a Mystic fanboy, to be honest. Shout out to him. Just kidding. But shout out to everybody else watching. If you're on the X side, come over to the YouTube side. Subscribe, join the chat. We're going to be talking to you guys and asking your guys' opinion. I want to know what you guys think as well. Well, gentlemen, it's been a week. Heck of a week for college football. There's some news already. I know Steve had some news he really wanted to talk about. Steve, is the news you wanted to talk about, was it related to the Mid-American Conference?
No.
All right. Take it away, man. The panel is yours.
So we've talked about it a couple times. Brendan Sorsby. He had his court date today. and they denied his availability to come back to college. He released a statement apologizing to everybody and all the fans that he let down. The question now is, does he enter the supplemental draft?
Yeah, does he? Or does he have a way of appealing it? Because remember, what was his name? The guy from Ole Miss. I think he went to court like 10 times before it finally got approved.
Not Trinidad. Yeah, Trinidad Shambles. Almost said Trinidad James, the rapper. Oof. Trinidad Shambles. Yeah. He may be able to. I don't know. But by his press release, his official statement, it doesn't feel like he's going to. It feels like he's just accepting his fate.
All right, to the UFL, he should go. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, we I guess me, really, I know you guys probably are going to think the same here. He did it to himself. I can't totally feel bad for a guy that put himself in a situation. It wasn't he was working hard and this and that and had a terrible injury and trying to no, he put himself in a situation, was gambling and doing stupid stuff, even though he was making how much money in an NFL deal?
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on now, man. You got to be mature about this. There's already stories prior to of people in other leagues, some people getting banned from the league itself. They'll never be able to play a game again in their entire career because of these things. Like, let's learn from these things. Come on now.
So I understand what you're coming from, but at the same time, his issues that he's having right now has to do with gambling, right? That's what his issue is?
Yes.
Right? So my understanding, gambling is classified as a disease. I could be wrong about that. And I know it's also, some people will say, well, it's not really a disease, it's more of a disorder, which can be argued one and the same. We don't really know what he's going through, bro. You know what I mean? Addiction in itself is a disease. It's tough to just break. You know what I mean? When you get addicted to something, it doesn't matter if it's alcohol or gambling or drugs or whatever it may be. It affects you in your mindset a different way, and it'll be very interesting what happens. I feel for the kid in the moment. But yeah, he did it to himself. That's where I do agree to in Mystic's point of view. I don't know too much about Sorbsby's background and like where he came from and what type of family background he has and stuff and support system. But I will say this though, is you're only as good as the people around you. And to be honest, maybe he needs to look around at the people around him and really open his eyes to that, to be honest.
But here's my thing, and I do also agree he did this to himself. But
Yeah.
I am a big proponent on this is a 22-year-old kid who made a mistake.
Yeah.
Addiction is a hell of a thing, and I personally believe in second chances. I do think he's a very talented player. I do think anybody who would give him that second chance would have to find a way to really monitor him. And just because it comes with a risk, anybody with an addiction, it's 35 days because he did complete his 35 days in rehab for it. But 35 days isn't always the answer, right? It's very easy to fall back, especially when, you overspend and you're an athlete in the NFL and you're trying to, or even college, right? And you're trying to keep up with all your buddies and what they're doing and spending, and they're making more money than you, right? So sometimes you fall into bad habits again. But I do think he is a talented enough player. I do understand gambling, and I do understand that there's a reason why it needs to be illegal. But in the NFL, it's a single season suspension, not a taking away your eligibility to ever play in the league ever again.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think he deserves some punishment. I understand that the league, the college sports not wanting him, but I do not believe the NFL should punish him too. I do believe he has even if he's a walk-on for somebody's camp, right, for their training camp. I do think he is talented enough. You might be able to find him either as a supplemental draft player where you can send a pick from next year to go and get him, or a walk on to your training camp as a camp body and see how he fares.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't. How do I put this? So, I do believe in second chances. We've seen athletes do far worse than gambling get second chances, and sometimes third and fourth chances, to be honest. So, I do feel that they should maybe reconsider, but make sure that there's some guidelines with it, in a sense, like you were saying. Like, I don't know if it's really considered like babysitting, but more of like checks and balances. Maybe he needs to check in, like a parole type of program, if you know what I mean by that. I definitely think that they should have something like that, especially. I want to say, let me get your guys' thoughts on this. You know how like the we keep saying that college football is becoming more like the NFL, right? There's NIL. Players are getting paid. They're making deals like it's college football, or it's like it's NFL or whatever. Let's actually go ahead and allow that all to happen, and let's say we now start signing a way to fix NIL, in a sense, and the transfer portal. Teams sign contracts with players where they're required to stay at the school for, let's say, 2 years minimum, right? At that point, what I would like to see is, if we're going to have contracts like that are holding players to teams, because eventually that's going to happen. They should have some type of drug policy, or some type of policy like the NFL does, where you get like a 6-month suspension, or let's say a 1-year suspension, but it doesn't mess with your eligibility. What do you guys think of that? You guys think that's something they should have? Because, I mean, to be fair, kids make mistakes. Look how many Georgia players. Speaking of mistakes, look how many Georgia players have had reckless driving or speeding or getting into a car wreck, and they have manslaughter charges and nothing happens to them. Have you ever noticed that? It seems like there's been so many of them recently. I just feel like there needs to be something in place that just doesn't kick out the player and say, "Oh, we're done with you." You know what I mean? No second chances. What do you think? What do you guys think of that?
I mean, it's like anything else, right? Like, there has to be some kind of cap and balance to something. Like, we even talked about, I think at one time, having like a positional cap for NIL and stuff like that. So
they're already trying to do that. They have something in place where they're really only allowed to spend like $20 million, but somehow there's a loophole that allows these teams to spend way more than that. In fact, Mystic, check this out. We talked about Indiana not really being one of those big primetime players in NIL. I just found out their evaluation with NIL money right now is $32 million. Way more than I thought.
Yeah. Is that before or after that championship? Oh,
that is a good question. That's the 2026 current NIL evaluation. I'm looking for the 2025. If I can find the 2025, then I'll be able to answer that question. But I'm
curious to see if there was a jump, though.
Yeah, I would like to see that. But yeah, teams have skyrocketed in the NIL valuations. Teams went from like 20-something million to being worth now over like 40 million. I think the highest is like 43 mil or something like that. It's something.
Did you hear about the law that Florida passed about college students?
No. Are you talking about the act? The former QB, the Miami Dolphins?
No, well, no, not the Teddy Bridgewater Act. So I'm trying to find it again. I found it the other day because of a conversation that popped up in one of our spaces about loyalty to their college teams. Florida passed a law, or is trying to pass a law, something about only out of state citizens, colleges can only offer enrollment to 10% of those students. So only 10% of college students can be out of state residents.
Wow.
And they're trying to get it down to 5%.
That's kind of nuts. That kind of messes. Well, so let me ask you this. So you're saying that they can only have 10% of their student athletes be from out of state, right?
I don't know if it's just athletes. I think it's school in general. So what would happen is kids would have to, what I think they're trying to do is knock down the number of online students that aren't on campus. So what they would have to do is come to Florida and become a citizen of Florida. If that makes sense, what I'm trying to say. So they would have to get a Florida driver's license or Florida ID and actually live in Florida. They can't be like in Ohio doing an online course like say they can't be doing an online course at the University of Miami, but be going to play for Ohio State and live in Ohio.
Hey, sign me up. Sounds like some fake ID is going to be coming in. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, and I brought this up because I don't know if y'all saw, but I believe it was Mendoza graduated from from another college that wasn't Indiana.
Yeah, that man's like NIT status. He don't need to be going to graduating from no fourth grade school like Indiana. They're just trying to win championships. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
No.
Did you see Steve what he just did there? By the way, he talks about it sounds like some fake ID shit. Sign me up, right? He needs that fake ID because once he gets tackled on the field, he's gonna get arrested. And he's gonna throw a fake ID up, so they don't know who he really is. Speaking of which, Vamos thinks that all three of us would be the guys to streak on the field. No. I would never streak on a field. However, I almost got kicked out of Hard Rock Stadium for yelling at Osweiler, saying "you suck" really loud. They came and talked to me about it. All I said was "you suck." I didn't say F you or some vulgar thing. I just said "you suck" after saying the guy's name. So
I tried to get a "fuck you
crazy.
Buffalo" chant going in the Lightning Stadium, but my buddy's like, "No, don't. They'll get us. They'll actually throw our ass out."
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I almost got thrown out of Jacksonville's stadium once, saying "F you," but I wasn't the only one chanting it. The entire stadium was to the referee. So, so that therefore I didn't get in trouble with that one either. But I would not be the guy streaking. No, that's just not my style. What other college news do we got? Do we have any more college football news before we move on to the main subject? I thought we had something. Let me check here.
The only news that I have is for the subject. So
yeah, I gotcha.
I totally forgot to find the article, so I'll have to find it for next time. But I thought there was an interesting. I think I had talked to you guys about it. There was an athletic director that basically said the Big Ten and the SEC is basically ruining college football type stuff with the NIL and the money and all that stuff. So, I thought it was super interesting, and I need to find this to break it down for you guys. We can have an interesting conversation about that.
Okay, we can definitely talk about that. That would be definitely a good topic for the whole show. So that would be a good one. Let me ask you, Mystic, is there a college football team that you just absolutely hate?
I don't know if I do, honestly. Like, I don't know. Because I haven't really, like, cared too much about college football in my life up until recent years. So, like, I haven't really felt, like, the major, like, devastation, of being a college football fan, right? I mean, I've watched Iowa lose a Big Ten championship to Michigan State, so that was pretty stupid. But I
Mhm.
don't think I would say I'd have like a hatred for them. But why do you ask, sir?
Well, I saw something interesting. I'm about to share, and you guys know what team I hate the most, right? Everybody should know that by now. You can tell by the shirt I wear, you know who I hate. So they're on this top 10 list. Steve, what team do you hate the most in college football?
I don't think I hate a team. Sometimes I hate a fan base of a team, but I don't think I hate any individual team.
I get you. I know you're new to the college football world, but I'm pretty sure by the end of this next college football season, you're gonna find a team that you hate the most. I already
Wait,
know.
wait. I got one. I forgot.
Okay.
I got it. It came to me. Notre Dame.
Oh, I really fucking hate Notre Dame too.
And,
They got to
and,
be
you
in the
know,
top 5. Actually, let's bring up the top 10 hated teams according to Brooke Austin.
and
So
I just want to throw this out there. I don't hate them, for academics and all that. Shout out to all the people that are, getting their degrees and stuff and living that dream, right?
yeah.
I can't stand how fucking overrated Notre Dame is every football season.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. And I'm
this and that,
actually
we're so
they're
good, and
so
then they fall
overrated.
flat whenever they face competition. And then they're
They
like
are.
trying to fix their schedule, and it's
Yeah.
annoying.
Yep. They honestly are so overrated that they didn't even make the top 5 or top 10. It's like people want to say that people love them, but I don't see it, bro. I really don't see how teams love Notre Dame so much, or people like Notre Dame so much. So let's go over this list because I don't agree with the order of some of this list. I don't.
Ollie, I gotta step away for a sec. Just give me a sec.
All right. All right. Steve's gonna go find that team he hates because he couldn't think of them. Just kidding, Steve. Just kidding. Let's talk about it, Mystics. So we'll start from the bottom and go up. I just for people that are automatically gonna think I'm gonna go in a different direction. I actually do agree with number 1. Just gonna point that out. But let's start from the bottom and go back up. So Tennessee at number 10, right? Tennessee is one of those teams that I don't even hate. I don't like them, but I don't hate them either. They haven't done anything that really pissed me off. Like, oh my God, even the year that Peyton Manning was at Tennessee, I rooted for them, when they weren't playing my team, obviously. You know what I'm saying? So I don't hate them. How do you feel about Tennessee at number 10?
No, a buddy of mine is bringing to my attention a solid thought that maybe we, as us resident Iowa fans, maybe we move Tennessee out of 10 and put Oregon in there, because since they've moved to the Big Ten, the games are so close and they almost get them and they can't quite get the bastards.
Yeah, I don't like Oregon at all. I definitely agree. We need to add Oregon up in here, to be honest, because they're one of those teams that, though they're going to blow the big game, right? They're going to lose the big one when it matters the most. I just hate them so much, bro, because it's like they think that nothing can touch them. Even their fans are like delusional, almost at a Michigan level, almost. LSU, yeah, I kind of hate on LSU, to be honest, because the fact that they're if right now Ohio State's considered wide receiver U, LSU is wide receiver U2, in my opinion. But there's some type of rivalry there with the wide receivers, so I get why I hate them. And I was rooting against them when the year that what's his name was the quarterback for them, the 1 year. God damn, why can't I think of his name? Always happens to me. They got
LSU?
Yeah, the LSU quarterback that went to the Bengals.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow. When Joe Burrow was there, I rooted against them. I don't hate Texas Tech. I don't even know why they're in the top 10 list. They haven't been around since the air raid offense.
Yeah, I actually don't mind Texas Tech. So I think
I
that's
don't
crazy.
mind Texas Tech either. I kind of root for them, to be honest. So I don't get why they're on this list. Right now, I'm going to tell you, Notre Dame definitely deserves to be on this list. Clemson deserves to be on this list, and they're not even on it.
I
Right?
can agree with that. I think Miami needs to be farther up the list, right, for our resident Miami fans. Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah. I don't like Miami. I throw them up on there, to be honest. That's another team. Let's see. Who else is here? Michigan. Yeah, they deserve to be on this team. In fact, I'll go ahead and say it looking at this. Actually, Notre Dame is on the list. I didn't even see them at number 3. That's how much I don't care about them. Yeah, I have Notre Dame at number 2 and Alabama at number 3. I will move Miami to number 5. Texas, for me, I don't hate Texas at all. I'll drop them out of the top 10, to be honest, and bring up Clemson. And then I'll have Georgia at number 4.
You know, it's kind of surprising to me.
What?
I'm not gonna lie, that Tennessee is on this, but somehow FSU isn't.
Ooh, I like it.
I hate Florida State. Fuck Florida State. Put them on there too.
That's what I'm saying.
I hate them really big time.
Like, is Texas just hated because of fucking Manning? Like, I don't understand why people hate Texas. What the fuck did Tennessee do? Like, I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. So, Vamos is asking, what do I think of Ohio State's new red field? We've had it before. I like it. I like black. I would prefer a black and red field, to be honest. Yeah, whatever field. Doesn't matter what color. Doesn't matter. We'll play on it. Yeah, going back to this, some of these teams I question. I don't hate Texas Tech. I don't hate Texas. They're not on here. Alabama is on here for good reason. Georgia, I still hate. I'd move them up to number 4. LSU. Do we really hate LSU, Mystic? I don't. I get why they're on it. People find them to be annoying, but I hate Clemson more than I hate LSU.
I think if we're going to put LSU on the list, it's going to be like a 10 or like honorary mention type stuff. Because, I don't really see like a high hatred for them. I
don't. I really don't. Maybe there's high hatred within the SEC. Maybe that group of people. Maybe that makes sense. But I really don't. But nationally, I don't really hate them so much. I hate Clemson more than I hate them. Clemson, if you didn't know, when it came to college football playoff, Clemson had a little rivalry going on with Ohio State. Back when what's his name, Lawrence was the quarterback and everything back then, and I hated them. I hated them so bad. But yeah, I just found this list to be interesting. I do already understand, and for good reason, why Ohio State is the most hated team. I get it. We win a lot. I get it. And we get a lot of good players. And we lose sometimes. Actually, we've lost a lot to Michigan. So I get it. So makes sense. Any final thoughts on the top 10 most hated teams list?
Yeah, I mean, 1 is like, I understand 1. Maybe I put up Miami at 2, and then just go from there. Really, no, I'm just trolling. I like the list. That was good stuff.
Yeah, it was an interesting list. All right, last thing we'll talk about real quick. We are going to talk about this before we go on to our main subject. So fiscal year profits came out. And the Big Ten grossed over $1.47 billion revenue. SEC $1.03 billion, followed by the ACC and the Big 12 at $826.5 million, and the Big 12 $610 million, which is kind of disappointing to me. I thought the Big 12 would put up bigger numbers. I mean, you look at their conference alone is more on the offensive side. of things. It's more, you got the air raid offense, you got all the rivalries among the Big 12 teams, you got all the quarterbacks, right? You got Avery, you got what's the guy that played for Oklahoma this past year? Not Muskemeter, but the other guy. Can't think of his name. But my point is that there's been a lot of quarterbacks in the Big 12. You would think, being offense sells, there would be a lot more revenue along with it. We didn't see that. ACC is one of those, like, I want to say one of those conferences that they got a lot of names. They just haven't really put it together, right? Miami has been the most consistent thing the past 2 seasons. Clemson was like the only name that they had for several seasons up until this year. I don't know. I'm at the ACC, $826.5 million. I think that's respectable. The Big Ten and the SEC are the biggest conferences in college football, so it's expected that they're going to make a lot more money. They have the big network when it comes to the TV deals. They got the freaking ESPN and SEC have that combo going, and then you got ABC and Fox. Actually, not ABC. I'm sorry. You have Fox with the Big Ten. It makes sense. Any surprises to the amount of revenue that they made? I think the biggest one is the jump from fiscal year 24 to 25. Do you see that? It's almost like they made another, I want to say, $100 million from fiscal 24 to 25 for Big Ten, and like the same thing, actually a little bit more, about $150 million more from 24 to 25 for the SEC. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's not surprising, especially for the ACC, like you said, like going on that run and making it to the national championship. People are watching. People are spending money.
Yeah.
Actually,
I was wrong. It's $541.9 million increase for Big Ten. So that's a 58 point. That's a big jump. That's a massive.
Like half a bill almost. That's insane.
That is insane. The same thing goes for I want to say the Big 12. That's a big jump for them, though. Going from, they're up 117.1 million. That's pretty big jump as well. The ACC didn't jump. They didn't change very much, to be honest.
115 mil.
Yeah, but you look at it, it's like 16.2%. You didn't get the massive jump like the Big Ten.
No, yeah.
The Big Ten has really gained a lot of traction, to be honest, when you really look at it.
Don't worry, the AAC will be there next year.
The AAC? Hey, we're talking MAC today. Maybe we'll talk AAC next. I know those USF fans really want to talk about their team. So I think it's really interesting. I think this also portrays a picture to the Big Ten SEC rivalry on who the top conference is as well, Mystic. Would you agree with that? Because we've been arguing, the last 3 seasons, a Big Ten team has won the national championship, right? And we've talked about how the last 3 seasons, some of the most watched games happened in the Big Ten. And this is showing more of that proof of that the Big Ten is gaining ground, not just on a talent aspect, but on a profitability, viewership, the TV deals, on every aspect. They keep gaining ground. What do you think about that, Mystic? Mystic. Maybe he went to go find his dinner. I don't know. Oh man, I set him up and he just.
Dude, I'm sorry. My internet's actually lagging pretty hard there for a second.
Uh-oh.
I think we're good now, though. I might have to restart potentially, though, if it does it again. Because, yeah, it was a hard lag that time. I see you kind of, like, flipping back, and, like, your guy will pause on my screen, and you go, but the voice hasn't paused. But, yeah, it lagged hard there. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. What I said is, one thing that I will point out is that this does portray the picture of the rivalry or transition of who the top conference is, because over the several years we've been keep telling people that the Big Ten is gaining ground on the SEC, but that, you know, people are saying the SEC is still the top conference. You look at it, the last 3 seasons, what have we said, Mystic? Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana, Big Ten teams winning the national championship, right?
Yep.
You're just seeing more players moving to the Big Ten, more players transferring from SEC to the Big Ten. Along with that, you're seeing some of the most watched games in college football come out of the Big Ten, along with the TV deals and everything, and seeing that there's a $500 million, like you said. This is really proof that the Big Ten has really gained ground, if not are taking the mantle from the SEC. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this data just further supports what we've been telling people. I don't think it's anything less than that. The fact that they have basically almost $500 million, you know, in revenue difference from the league that a lot of people, you know, was the top league in SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty all telling, man. You know, the more money you have, the more opportunity you can create, and the more players that we are seeing transition over there because they want the bigger opportunities that are in the Big Ten.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're showing this type of revenue in a conference, right? It doesn't just speak to you know, the viewers at home. It speaks to athletes and NIL deals and stuff that they're, you know, this is why they're in business for it. It is very, very interesting. And you know what? I don't want to give shade to the ACC or the Big 12. Historically, the Big 12 has a huge history. So does the ACC. But they have a ways to go to catch up with the SEC or the Big 10, to be honest. They have a long way to go. So, any thoughts on this, Steve? You've been kind of quiet.
No, I mean, again, I'm as new as I am. Like I kind of just listen to you two talk about how much you love the Big Ten and how the SEC is trash. So, you know, I don't have one feeling towards the other. I mean, obviously, numbers outside of feelings, numbers don't lie, right? Feelings this, feelings that, preference this, preference that. Numbers don't lie. The Big Ten is making more money than anybody right now, and there's a reason for it.
Yeah, I agree. And just to be fair to your comment, real quick, Steve, I don't hate the SEC. I just think that the SEC, it's good, but I think the Big Ten is really good too. And I think people need to actually give Big Ten a lot more credit for what it is. Because the Big Ten is about old-fashioned run-first football, right? That brawl. You know, when we think of Tecmo Bowl or Mud Bowl, or Mud Balls, some people call it, right? When we talk about stuff like that, you're thinking about hard-nosed running, people hitting each other and everything. And that's what Big Ten is all about, right? SEC was about the flair, the flash, that kind of stuff. That's what it was about before. Now people have kind of turned off from that and gone to, you know, I want to see who the next running back is going to be out of the Big Ten, because that's who generally, you know, out of running backs, a lot of times that's who ends up being popular in the NFL, right? You look at that. You look at what defensive players are coming out of the Big Ten. You know, now stars are coming out of MAC teams. We're going to talk about one of them today. You know what I mean? So I do understand what you're saying. We bash the SEC a lot, but it's because the SEC has bashed the Big Ten for so many years. It's really just us catching up to them, to be honest. That's what it is.
No. So you're always just being too nice. Steve said it right. If you're not first, you're last. So figure it out, all right?
That's true. If you're not first, you're definitely last.
There you go, Ricky Bobby.
And
Shake and bake, baby.
Hell yeah, shake and bake.
Well, you better thank Tom Cruise for that $1.47 billion.
Thank you. All right. Let's start on to the main event. Everybody hit the like button. I see a bunch of people in the chat. Mr. Paul, how you doing, sir? We're talking the Mid-American Conference. We are gonna talk about the Mid-American Conference. We're gonna break them down team by team, talk about it. I'll even give your thoughts on what MAC team could possibly, quotation marks, possibly make the college football playoff this year. In that group of 5 or whatever they call them. So we will definitely talk about it. So, but make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're brand new. Let's get this party started. All right. So the Mid-American Conference, right? I guess I will kick us off. As the 2026 season, the MAC football lineup is Akron, Ball State, Bowling Green, Buffalo, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Kent State, UMass, Miami of Ohio, Sacramento State, and Toledo. And last but not least, Western Michigan. Previously, we had Northern Illinois, who's left for the Mountain West, while we added Sacramento State to this year's MAC conference. So, pretty interesting. The big rivalry, you'll see the Eastern Western Michigan rivalry. You'll see Toledo versus Bowling Green. That's like equivalent to an Ohio State versus Michigan game, technically, in this conference, if you didn't know. But I want to tell you that the MAC is very interesting because I really feel that these teams represent blue-collar America, Mystic. I don't know if you know that. The Big Ten overall does, I agree. But if you take a deeper dive and zoom into these Midwestern states, to be honest, the MAC really represents like a Big Ten junior, kind of, if you understand what I mean by that, when it comes to Midwest mentality and the type of teams that the Mid-American Conference has. They play hard-nosed defense. They like to run the ball a lot. There's been a lot of receivers as well as running backs that have come out of the MAC over the years. One of our alumni of Miami Dolphins, Jason Taylor, played in the MAC. Not a lot of people know that. And in addition, you look at guys in this most recent draft. We have a very good safety that came out of Toledo. I'll let Steve get the thunder and talk about him. But I think it's going to be a really interesting breakdown. We're going to break down the individual teams. I know Steve had some news about the MAC. Do you want to go ahead and break the news before we break down the teams, or should we break down the teams first?
You kind of already broke the news. The exodus of Northern Illinois to Mountain West, and Sacramento State, at the cost of $23 million, joins the MAC. They are the first West Coast FCS team to ever join the MAC. Ever.
Definitely. That's really interesting. It is. Sacramento State is one of the first West Coast teams to join the MAC. So that's going to be really interesting. I want to say UCF, University of Central Florida, was in the MAC for a hot minute, for like 1 or 2 seasons. And then they dipped out to go to, I forget where they went, either the ACC or someplace like that. They went to a different, bigger conference, I think.
Now, the thing about Sacramento, though, let's hope it has a better, going into the season, let's hope they have a better year than Massachusetts, who joined last year. Massachusetts came in and went 0 for 12, 0 for 8 in the conference, and lost damn near every conference game with an average by an average of 28 points. Now, Sacramento was 7-5 last year in the Big Sky. So let's see if that translates.
Yeah, we will definitely see. But let's break them down. We're going to talk about the Akron Zips first. Akron enters the 2026 season while trying to climb out of the lower tier of the MAC. The Zips showed some progress in 2025, finishing better than recent expectations. But College Football News still projects them at 3-9 with one of the league's worst, lowest win totals. Let's talk about the Akron Zips real quick. The Ohio State played them this past season, and they're an interesting team to me. They have some decent linebackers and outside linebackers that are very well coached. So they have some talent when it comes to there. But on the offensive side, they don't really have an offensive line that can stand up to a more disciplined defense, right? It's just really interesting to me. They've invested a lot more on the defensive side, so we'll see like what they do. The expectation for me, though, they need to be tougher. They need to steal swing games and prove that they're no longer an automatic win against some of these teams. Games against Buffalo, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Kent State, UMass, Ohio, even Western Michigan are all toss-up games. So Akron's season is going to be decided by whether it can finally close those middle-of-the-pack MAC matchups, or at least getting away with some of these lucky swing game wins is what they really need to take advantage of. Do you guys have any thoughts on the Akron Zips at all?
No.
Mystic, do you want to add anything to that?
Good old Akron. Well, I mean, I guess if since we're breaking it down, right? I mean, what's crazy is you only have 5 teams that had a positive, like, plus minus for points scored per points against.
Yeah.
They were not one of them.
They were definitely not one.
4-4 in the conference is a lot to work through. But, I mean, again, you're not 0-8 like Massachusetts. So, I mean, kind of, I don't think they're the worst team. That's one of these middle teams, right? I feel like they really have a chance if they could just kind of do some of the little things a little better. They could put themselves up in that topper echelon of what the MAC is. But it's again, can they get the right pieces to do that?
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Do you want to add anything to that, Steve?
No, I mean Akron's got for me a ways to go before they get themselves back into that situation. That last year they really suffered in a 4-4 in their division or in their conference. They were like bottom 3 amongst all the rankings, tied with Kent State. So Akron's got some work to do. Let's hope the recruitment cycle they had, even though it's a difficult one, which I meant to mention earlier, and we could talk about it, but recruiting for just this conference alone is so difficult because they're all compacted together so much that it's hard to really climb up. So Akron's got some work to do.
Yeah, that's true. I do think that they do, the Akron Zips specifically, if they build on that defense a little bit more, specifically that defensive line, I think they can hold on to some of these swing games and maybe give themselves a better chance to win, to be honest. But I think they're more in that rebuild mode with the expectation that's what they need to really focus on. So I definitely agree with what you're saying with the recruiting cycle and see what happens. Ball State, on the other hand, is in a full-blown rebuild mode under Mike Rumovich. I cannot never say his name, so I'm sorry about that. Who went 4-8 in his first year. Athlon notes his past success at Butler and at St. Francis as a reason Ball State should expect progress. But the Cardinals are still projected around 5-7. The Cardinals schedule has landmines, including Northwestern and Ohio State. Yeah, that's going to be a tough game for them to win both of those games, even Northwestern. But the MAC path is flexible. If Ball State wins at home level toss-up games against Buffalo, Central Michigan, Sacramento State, possibly against Toledo or UMass type opponents, it can push towards bowl eligibility possibly. So they're expecting a lot from their new head coach. So we will definitely, or newer head coach, I should say. That's going to be definitely interesting. Any thoughts on Ball State?
I think what's crazy with them is they're literally looks like they're jumping out the gate and they're like, yeah, let's play Ohio State, first game of the season. I'm like, holy smokes. Talking about seeing where your team's at. I'm just hoping. I hope this head coach takes them into this game and says, "Look, we're going to go in this trying to win the game, right? Obviously, it's Ohio State. If they come out, I guess, having a better understanding of what they are as a football team after Ohio State, that could set them up. I don't want to see this team get down themselves because they couldn't beat a juggernaut, right?"
Mm. Yeah. Any thoughts? Any comments to that, Steve?
I mean, they're gonna have to stop the explosives, which is something they've struggled to do with that defense. So, and Ohio State, if nothing else, is explosive. So,
Let me ask you guys something real quick, because I always thought about this, and we were talking about, Steve, you and I were talking about how Toledo walked into Penn State and smoked Penn State one year at their stadium. What do MAC teams need to really focus on against these powerhouse teams that they have to go against in week one? Let it be in Ohio State or let it be in Alabama or whatever. Not even MAC teams, just like teams that are in these lower conference. They know they have no business winning against a team like that. What should they focus on? Because for me, and I'll just give you my 2 cents and then I'll let you take off with it. For me, if I'm a head coach, I want to make sure that my team not only performs at a certain level, like I have an expectation, but at the same time, make sure that they have an understanding and game awareness. So what I mean by that is if they come back to me and they say, okay, I ask them, all right, what did you learn? And they say, okay, I learned I have to make sure I keep my eye on the quarterback, or maybe I have to keep an eye out when they're in this formation. This play might be coming, whatever it may be. I think that those types of things is something that I would feel comfortable with if I'm a head coach and taking a loss against a big team. As long as we come away keeping it respectable and we learn something, I think it's a win to me, right? But I think it's also unfair that your first game of the season is against a team like that, and that's the first thing that they're going to experience in that season. It can be definitely detrimental to morale. What do you think, Steve?
well, and it's funny, what I think about when I think of these situations, because in all intents and purposes, college used to do this all the time, and even high school. I don't know, the NFL doesn't, but I know high school did it a lot. You take the better team and they go and look for a smaller team that isn't as good to be a dial-up game, right? Get your guys on the field. There's not a lot of stress. It's week one. They can feel things out. And then it's a team that you're not so much worried about giving you a bunch of problems. But however, that's how you end up in a longest yard situation, where you overlook those guys and you get punched in the nose and made to look like a fool for it. So I say that to say, like, even the good schools, quote unquote, right? The Ohio States, I think they can learn stuff from these younger teams. That I'm looking for physicality. Because again, like, all intents and purposes, if they win 6 games this year, that's great for ball, right? Like, I think that's really good for that program, because they're still rebuilding. They're trying to figure their stuff out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if they, like, I'm looking for my guys to compete every single down. They're not taking plays off. I want to see on the field that they're in the right area, but maybe they made a minor mistake that you can fix, right? Like, his instinct was right, but he was a little too early. We can work on that. Or his instinct was right, but when he went to when he went to, go for a 50-50 ball, his technique and how he addressed his vertical leap at the point of the catch was off, right? Those are
Mhm.
things we can work on. What you don't want to see is guys lost because this offense or defense with NFL caliber talent is just making a fool out of you. That's what you don't want to see. So really, it's just coming down to seeing them doing the right things, not making boneheaded mistakes consistently, and seeing things that are actually workable, not just limitations of the guys on the field.
Shout out to Nene with the $2 donation. Thank you for donating. I really appreciate you. Ali needs a University of Miami shirt on. Miami of Ohio? No, I'm not a Miami of Ohio fan. No, just kidding. Hey, if someone wants to donate a Miami shirt for me, I'll wear it on here for you guys. I don't mind. Definitely. So shout out to Nene with the $2 donation. Thank you, Nene. I appreciate that. I agree with you, Steve. I agree. You gotta make sure that you have your team coming in prepared. But I want them to learn something. I want my team to learn something from this game. If you're gonna take the beating, at least come away knowing what you got to do or what you're gonna learn from the game. I want you to come back and kind of teach me what you learned. Because if you think about it, in essence, your next game against that lower tier team may be a lot easier for you at that point, right? You just experienced the worst beating ever. The next game should be easier. Oh, this is a cinch. They're slower. I know what real speed looks like. I got to play against Ohio State in the first game. Just to throw that as an example. It could be any team, but that's kind of my thought process. What do you think, Mystic? You didn't say anything during that bit. Mystic might be lacking.
Oh, no, yeah, I am, but I think that I don't have a whole lot to say about this current situation you're on.
Mm-hmm. No worries.
I'm kind of like in agreement with what you're saying, so that's why I'm just like I don't want to keep saying the same stuff.
Gotcha. All right, maybe you got more to say about the next team we're going to talk about. This team was literally 15 minutes from my house. I could technically throw a football to this team. I hung out in this city quite a few times. It's really of a college party town, if you know what I mean. But it's Bowling Green Falcons, Bowling Green State Falcons. Bowling Green is coming off a disappointing slide after it was being viewed as a bowl-level MAC team in recent years, led by the famous Ohio State Heisman-winning running back Eddie George, who started to rebuild and was supposed to be bringing physicality back to the MAC. And he actually, his first season there, he actually took that team and went running with them, right? But College Football News now projects the Falcons at 3-9 with a tough non-conference games against Mystic's favorite team, one of Mystic's favorite teams, Iowa State, Nebraska, and USF. Yes, I said USF. So it will be very, very interesting what the Falcons can do. Their expectation is to stabilize under Eddie George. They're in a rebuild philosophy right now. They want to bring back physicality. The key players will be whoever emerges at quarterback, along with their defensive front. And the schedule gives them enough swing games against Ball State, Buffalo, Kent State, Sacramento, UMass, Western to outperform the projection. Their rivalry game is against Toledo. That's going to be a tough game for them. But I will say that in their defense, when it comes to Bowling Green, they did lose some NFL talent the past 2 seasons that had been pretty decent. I know they lost a big-time tight end this year. I think it was either this year or last year they lost the tight end. So it'll be very interesting what Eddie George does. I know that with his name and bravado and the physicality he wants to bring in, they've brought in more talent. but they're super young and raw. So we'll see what happens there. You guys have any thoughts about Bowling Green?
Well, they may have lost the tight end, but they also gained an athletic tight end from Atlanta, who is one of the highest rated players in the class, according to On3. Anyway, they got Jaron Mock, the quarterback out of Ohio, at a North High School, or North High Pinkerton North High School. He was actually one of the better quarterback recruits in the class for the MAC. They went and got a massive 6'6" offensive tackle from Michigan. So they've started to kind of how I want to say it. They came in with the staple gun and started stapling some of them holes up that they lost to the NFL.
Shout out real quick. Shout out to Mr. Paul saying, "Oh, okay." I thought he was saying for a second when I saw it, I thought he was doing the OH for me. No, they're having a conversation about the Spurs downfall against OKC. Go OKC! This is the only time I'm going to root for OKC.
Yeah, we love to hear it. We love to hear it. Anyway,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, just looking at what's going on with this team last year, and obviously, you guys led to fill in some of the holes and the needs. They also didn't travel well. Their biggest downfall was their inability to travel. They won one road game last year. Now, like you talked about, those three teams, right? Nebraska, Iowa State, South Florida. Those are three of their first 4 games of the season, 2 of those being on the road. So you're going to figure out if this team figured out their road travels real quick, if they can make those competitive close games. Maybe they steal one against Nebraska, right? If not, then you're going to have problems. And as soon as they get back, or they go home for South Florida, right? And then go to Miami of Ohio, which is one of those teams you better be ready for, right? That's one of the top teams in the MAC. So it would be interesting to see how they come out and, can Eddie George correct the issues of the travel and find a way to get to these players and get that transition on the road right. I'm curious to see how his coaching tactics are going to kind of evolve this year.
Yeah, it will be very, very interesting. And what he does. Go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say they're going to be walking in that Miami of Ohio State with their heads hung low after the ass whooping they take at home. So,
Yeah. Question, Mystic, since you had it in front of you and they lost, I think you said they only won one road game.
Yep.
Who was the road game against? Do you have it? Do you know if they played Toledo on the road or away? Or at home or away, I'm sorry.
Oh, hang on. Let me look here. I just know that they had it pulled up here that, they only won one road game last year. Not quite sure. We'll have to pull that schedule. But you said Bowling
Green versus Toledo. Where was it at? Was it at away or was it at home?
So this year it's away.
So last year was home. Okay. The reason I was asking is because, to be honest, Bowling Green is like driving from Hard Rock Stadium to the Florida Marlins stadium. It's that close. You know what I mean? It's not very far to drive at all. So it's really not an away game, so to speak, because they still fill up the stadium 50-50. So I was just wondering, how that went last year for them. So very interesting. The next team we'll talk about, and Michael K is probably going to hear the name of this team and be like, "Did you say Buffalo?" Yeah, resident Buffalo fan. The Buffalo Bulls is who we're not talking about, not the Buffalo Bills. So don't confuse them. Buffalo is one of the most interesting teams because Pete Lembo already proved he can win there, going 9-4 in his debut before slipping to 5-7. Athlon has him still ranked Lembo as one of the MAC's best coaches and says Buffalo should be back in the postseason mix. The Bulls are projected around 5-7, but that feels more like the floor rather than the ceiling. And it says that it says Albany and Robert Morris are likely wins, while max swing games against Akron, Ball State, Bowling Green, Central Michigan, UMass, and Western Michigan will determine whether Buffalo is a bowl team or a spoiler. Thoughts on the Buffalo Bulls? Not the Buffalo Bills, but the Buffalo Bulls.
Well, I can tell you right now, they smacked Bowling Green 28-3 last season. So, Bowling Green's still got a lot to figure out. That's crazy. Let me see here.
Real quick, Nene just reminded me. Nene, thank you for your service, and thank you for anyone that you know that sacrificed. Speaking of Memorial Day, I just wanted to point that out. I said something about Memorial Day at the beginning of the show. So go ahead, Mystic. Sorry.
No problem at all. No problem at all. This was one of those 4-4 in the conference teams. This team, I misspoke earlier. Akron was the bottom of the middle 4-4 conference teams. Buffalo is like the middle era. When it came to that, they were a better road team than they were in a home team, which is crazy. Losing 3 straight to end the season isn't a good look. So you got to find a way to close it out. You know, you're technically looking at 5-4 with 3 left. You got to find a way to win those, right? So what's this team going to do if they put themselves in a position? Do we know? Did we speak on the turnover within the team? Do they have a bunch of holes that need to be filled? Kind of the same situation with what we just talked about with Bowling Green.
Well, I don't have that information. That information wasn't provided to me when I was looking up stuff. I will say that based on the consensus, based on the belief in their coach, a lot of people think that they'll bounce right back into bowl contention, to be honest. So I don't think it's so much of a rebuild situation like some of the other teams.
I could see that. It also looks like they were one of those teams that they scored more points than they gave up.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some good things, right? Even though you kind of had a bad end of the season, I do think that there are some things that they clean up, and I think you see Buffalo be one of the better teams in the MAC this year. I think that's a real possibility for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Steve, you have any thoughts?
3 Sports has them as the number where'd it go? The number 1 dark horse team. It says between its good recruiting momentum, favorable schedule spots, and strong physical style of play, they're the team you don't want to meet late in the season between their weather and just their physical run game. Their biggest issue, honestly, when you really look at their team, has been their quarterback and the inconsistency at quarterback position. But they control the time of play on the field, time of possession. They have really good physical defense. They're built a lot like the old Buffalo Bills in comparison, right? Like, I know it's funny when we think about it, but if you really look at it, strong run game, strong defense wins games. If they could figure out their quarterback position, they absolutely could be an issue for the MAC. And they've made a history of late doing that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they signed in 2025. They signed like 20 players, I want to say, in recruits that they brought in, led by a kid named Trey Jones, who's a wide receiver, kind of a speedy wide receiver out of Chesapeake, Virginia, to be honest. So they're an interesting team. They have quite a few. They're mostly 3-star recruits on their team. So it's going to be really interesting what they do. and what they're bringing in. I want to say, was it in 2026? I want to say 2026 they had a more of a, yeah, they have a lot more 3-star recruits coming in 2026 that have already committed as well. So it'll be very, very interesting what happens there.
They have
Go ahead.
22 total signees this year.
22 already. Wow.
Yeah, including a 6'4" edge from Ohio, a quarterback from Massachusetts, a 6'5" offensive tackle from Ohio, a downhill running back from New Jersey, and a versatile tight end from Pennsylvania that can block with receiving upside.
There you go. There you go. What are you going to say, Mystic?
No, my apologies. I do just want to say, we were talking about the whole Ball State thing there earlier, and I did find one more thing I forgot I wanted to throw out there. Talk about a parody of a team, right? You're talking about a team that was 4-1 at home, so some of the best in the division, 4-1 or better at home, couldn't win a single road game, 0-7. Figure out how to win some road games, right? I just thought that was crazy. Just something I wanted to throw out there. And losing 3 straight to end the season. So very interesting to see a parody of a team there, completely comfortable at home, has no idea what they're doing on the road.
Yeah. Very interesting. All right, next team we're going to talk about Central Michigan Chippewas. That's what they're called, Chippewas. The Central Michigan Chippewas is positioned as a real dark horse contender. I don't really want to say they're a dark horse contender. I guess you could say they're close to my top 5 in this conference. Central Michigan is positioned as a dark horse contender. CFM projects them as 7-5, as their 2025 record also showed they're trending above the max middle class. The big expectation is consistency. Central Michigan has enough toss-up games to either push towards the MAC title race or fall back into the pack with matchups against Akron, Ball State, Buffalo, Eastern Michigan, Miami, Ohio, Sacramento State, Western Michigan, and Wyoming, all listed as 50-50 games. I just want to point this other fact out, and I know it's going off subject, but it brings up a team that will not be named from a different conference. This was a team that the other team had to have someone dress up as one of their coaches on their sideline so they could cheat during the game. So that's what Central Michigan, I'll never forget when I saw that happen. So we'll talk about that at another time, but I just wanted to point that out. What do you guys think of Central Michigan? I think they have a decent chance, to be honest. I think they have a decent chance to make a run at the MAC this year. So don't count them out. What do you guys think?
Very favorable schedule, in my opinion, just from the early glance, not knowing anything about the roster, right? Just kind of seeing travel, all that.
Yeah.
Obviously, early in the season, within the first 4 weeks, they're going to test themselves when they play. They go down to Miami. So, interesting things. But yeah, I think to your point, I think you're spot on. I think this is one of those teams that we see competing for the MAC this year.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Steve?
They retained their offense, their quarterback, their wide receivers. They lost their entire defense. Like the entire thing. It's completely rebuilt. Everything good on that defense is pretty much gone. So they're going to have, this is going to be the definition of recruiting to win. If they start winning games, that means they were able to replenish their stars on defense that left this year with young players. So that offense is going to have to perform.
Absolutely. I agree with you. But just to add to that a little bit more, Central Michigan is one of the MAC teams that definitely has one of the topper end recruiting classes in the MAC, right? The one thing that they're missing in their roster building that they do year in and year out is having that one it factor blue chip type of player. You know what I mean? When it comes to some of the skill positions, when it comes either at quarterback or running back. But if you look at their roster and in the talent that they bring in a recruiting class, they're on the topper end of the MAC. Continue. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. And I agree they are, but also like they can have one of the best recruiting classes and that's nice, but it's got to translate, right? So it comes down to how well they can put all that talent to the field, and defensively they're going to need it.
Yep, I agree. I definitely agree. Defensively, when it comes to that's basically how the MAC should be built: defense, and then you have the offense too. We will definitely see. Any final thoughts on the Chippewas Mystic?
I'm good.
You're good. Okay, we're boring Mystic. Let's see if we can perk his ears a little bit more. Eastern Michigan. Now, this is a team that I grew up very close to Eastern Michigan from Toledo, obviously. Eastern Michigan remains as one of the toughest coaching jobs in the country. But Chris Creighton has made the Eagles respectable for a long stretch. Athlon points out EMU has missed bowls the last 2 years, but returns enough experience to get into the postseason conversation. The Eagles are projected to be 5-7, which likely wins over Lindenwood and UMass, but tough road games against Michigan State and Wisconsin. This season opens with Sacramento State's first FBS MAC game, which immediately makes EMU as one of the league's biggest storylines. What do you guys think? I mean, Eastern Michigan, they do recruit. I see that their recruiters out in high schools in Northwest Ohio a lot. When I was in high school, I saw them out a lot. So the recruiting game is there. They do have very tough coaching position, and they're tough to coach, unfortunately. And in addition to it, I have seen them. I don't want to say that they've won big games in the past, but every so often I'll be flipping through and looking at the scoreline. I'm like, how is Eastern Michigan only down by a touchdown? You'd think they'd get smoked. There's always this one game where they play like really tough. What do you guys think about Eastern Michigan?
They have the best quarterback in the MAC.
That's true. They have a lot of experience coming back this season.
So anything's possible. I mean, they lost 5 of their conference games last year, and that's not going to get any easier this year. I think you said that it said that it's the worst coaching job this year. I don't see how it's worse than UMass. Massachusetts. Whoa. They were tied for 8th with Bowling Green last year in the division. They got a lot of work to do, but like you said, offensively they have the best quarterback. And when you got the best quarterback, as we've seen, you got a chance.
Absolutely, they definitely have one of the best quarterbacks. So I agree. Mystic, any thoughts on Eastern Michigan?
I think they're one of those teams. Their defense needs to kind of help them out. Giving up 350 plus points, then your offense, can only score, about 289, 290, it looks like. So, gonna have to figure that out. Again, another one of those teams. There's 3 teams that had won. 5 teams, 1 or less, right? But 3 teams that were 1-5, I should say, on the road, and they were one of them. So some of these teams just don't travel well. If they can figure out how to travel, it'd probably put them in a better position than where they're at. And if they have that quarterback, then they really are going to have to. They're really going to have to get that defense to step up for them.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts on that team, Steve?
No, not really. They got to figure out their their issues. They got a good quarterback, so that helps. But they need to at least get to 500.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. All right, we'll move on to the next team. Kent State Golden Flashes. I don't understand the name of their team, but it's called the Golden Flashes. Kent State had the biggest year-to-year improvement to the league, going 0-12 in 2024, then 5-7 in 2025. They're projected to be 5-7 this season, which shows the program has climbed out of the basement, but still has work to do. The issue is the schedule. You got teams like Ohio State, South Carolina, USF, and Western Michigan, all projected to be losses. Kent State's path to winning are the MAC toss-up games. Akron, Ball State, Bowling Green, Eastern Michigan, Miami of Ohio, or Sacramento State. Shit, where's UMass? UMass should be in there. That's not even a toss-up. That should be an automatic win, to be honest. But it's going to be interesting. Will they have another year of progression? Let's say they finish the season 7-5 or 6-6, for example, right? I think that's a win for them. That's a win if you think about it, because it's year after year of progression. It kind of gives me, in a weird way, Indiana vibes. Not going to say they're Indiana. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying is like you can see them getting better each season. What do you think, Mystic?
It's this is one of the. There's only 4 teams that gave up more than 350 some, or more than 350 points total last year, and they're one of them.
They do have some decent coaching. I don't know if you know this, but Kent State, great. Also, former wide receiver, kick returner, played a little bit of running back in the NFL. Josh Cribbs, the former Browns, if anybody remembers Josh Cribbs up here, joined the coaching staff with Mark Carney as a new team special teams analyst. So I'm not saying that means anything. The guy's only an analyst. But having NFL talent on your coaching staff does help. So what do you think of that?
That it could have honestly helped. Honestly, they get to get all the help that they can get. They're, like I said, over the 350 mark. They're one of 2 teams to give up 400 plus total last year. So like, they got to figure some things out. Like, you definitely can't be having a defense over the course of the season giving up 400 total points. Like, that is insanity to me. Looks like they're competitive though. Again, they're competitive in conference. It's when you kind of get out of conference, I think where they kind of get, maybe kind of step into the water where they don't need to be. I don't know however it's going to transpire, right? But they're only a 4-point difference in conference, 4-4, but then over here there's almost a 200-point difference overall when you throw in their conference games, or out of conference games. So you really got to figure some things out. Teams got to figure out how to travel. That's another bad travel team. It's It's crazy how some of these teams, like, literally, like, they'll show you just statistically how bad they are and like what their weaknesses are. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree. What do you think, Steve?
I am going to affectionately call this the Anaheim Ducks of the MAC.
Tell me more. Please tell me more.
That's crazy. I think he meant the Lightning, but go ahead.
No, I say that because their entire roster is nothing but a bunch of young kids. They're like, everybody's young.
It doesn't work. Young promising kids is different than just a bunch of young kids. But okay, go continue.
I pinched a nerve there, I think. No, they got a lot of young talent. If that young talent can start to step up, they could have a chance. I mean, they went 50-50 in their conference last year. They were 4-4. They were 5-7 overall. So they only won 1 game out of conference. So they have a chance if the young guys, but man, that defense it couldn't stop the run. It lacks depth on the defensive line. They let explosive plays. Like they got a lot of issues, and they got to hope that what they brought in can fill in those gaps and maybe get a couple more wins out of it. But they're still a ways away.
Hey, I just got a question still. I still can't wrap my head around the name of this team. What are Golden Flashes? Can anyone explain what Golden Flashes are?
I don't know about Golden Flashes. Maybe R. Kelly's a part of the team. I don't know.
Oh shit! Damn, R. Kelly. Listen. All I know is that they got to go up against teams like Ohio State, South Carolina, and USF. Right. My question is, Mystic, what do you think Steve's first thoughts are when his Bulls get smoked by a bunch of Golden Flashes?
Dang.
All I would say is like, bro, I'm sorry, bro. I don't know what happened. Because that would be some shit if you lost to a bunch of Golden Flashes. That's all I got to say. Oh, my God.
Maybe that's what they call streakers who spray themselves with spray tan.
Mystic would know about that. Mystic, can you elaborate?
Sorry, you're breaking up. Come again?
Oh, he did perfect timing to break up, let me tell you. All right, go ahead.
Just coming on your questions. Apparently, the name started before Golden Flashes. Kent State's teams had several unofficial nicknames, including Silver Foxes, Normal Lights, and Golden Eagles. But in 1925, the university held a contest for an official nickname, and the winner was the Golden Flashes, representing gold, their color teams or their school colors, and flashes symbolizing the speed, quickness, and excitement of the game.
And you know what's crazy? They call them the Golden Flash, right? If you look at their college basketball logo, it's the K with an eagle head, and then it looks like the back end of a Charger logo. That's what it looks like. So I don't know. Go ahead.
It does, and also I don't know about what it's going to look like when some Golden Flashes roll over y'all's teams, but I know what it's going to look like when we're trying to pick up them golden shits off the floor once we stomp on them. All right.
Yeah, well, all I know is only gold that you're gonna see this year is all those chips on those cheap helmets that are falling all over the field after getting smoked all left and right. That's what you're gonna see, Steve. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you, Steve. All right, let's keep it moving. We got two more teams, actually, a couple more teams to go over. UMass Minutemen. This guy, to be honest, this is like the 2003 Detroit Lions that went 0-17 or whatever it is. UMass is now a full MAC member after officially joining the league July 1st, 2025. The move gave UMass stability after years as an independent and expanded the MAC's footprint into the Northeast. Football-wise, this is still a hard rebuild. Athlon says Joe Harasmiak inherited a major rebuilding job, and College Football News projects UMass near the bottom at 3-9, but the Minutemen should be more competitive in year 2 of the MAC transition. Kind of reminds me of North Carolina, bro. Like they got a guy has kind of has a name as a coach, and it's just a shit job, right? It's shit right off the get go. I don't know. Will they win a game? Will they won't win a game? I honestly think UMass is going to finish in the bottom end of this conference. What do you think? What do you guys think?
Man, oh man. Again, I don't really have a whole lot to say. Like it's one of those things, Ollie. It's just one of those things. It's just like I feel like I'm saying the same thing for a lot of these teams because I feel like a lot of them have like the same weaknesses, but also at the same time, I think that's what makes up this conference, so much is how close if you break down the overall division, right, I feel like you have like the middle is so close, and then the top was so close. It's how's that going to turn out this year? That's really kind of where I'm at for this whole overall the division as a whole. Is where are these teams going to fall, and is it going to be close again, or do we see a team really run away with it? Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a really good possibility that happens, though.
Very, very possible. What do you think, Steve?
Well, since we're being so negative, I'll be on the positive. All I know is the Dolphins went 1-15 one year and then came back and went 11-5. That's all I know.
I think, bro, any game you win now after going 0-12 or whatever it is, yeah, it's going to be a positive. But the reality is, you look at the state of the football program itself. I think that they're having to reevaluate their whole recruiting process. You know, you recruit based on who's in your conference, right? So whatever conference UMass was, if you could do that research, Steve, real quick, where they were at, their team is built around those type of teams. So if you're coming in weak and you're going against a stronger, more defense and run first type of conference, then you're gonna be on a punching bag for a season or two until you can catch up. But what I'm hoping to see from them is stability, maybe on one side of the ball, primarily on the defensive line or the offensive line. I want to see them get better in those positions first. Then the other positions, as they move along, will start to increase their talent. I know they have a quarterback that I want to say there is a quarterback competition going on at UMass. I could be wrong about that though.
And there might be, but here's the thing about UMass.
Mm-hmm.
This is the worst situation you can have. Because again, like we talked about, I mentioned it a little earlier, recruiting in the MAC is insane because everybody's pulling from the same places. Everybody. And it's so small. Like, I mean, even before, right? Since joining the FPS, UMass is 26 and 130. They're a program that I don't even know they care that much about their football program. Like, the only program they moved to the MAC was their football. They left their basketball program where it was. So I don't know. They were in the MAC at one time before and then they left.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you're that bad and you can make a turnaround that quick. Like I wanted to just be nice and be hopeful, but like, wow, just wow, it's bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. Something to also kind of look at, last season, they only had 13 commits overall, compared to like one of the teams we were talking about had 20 commits or 22 commits, I think it was, something like that, right? So right now they don't have anybody that's recorded as a full signed commitment. Actually, they do. Let me look at this. They have way more commits for 2026 class than they do 2025. And they have 1, 2, 3. I want to say they have 10 3-star commits compared to the only 3 that they had last season. Last season, they only had 3 3-star commits. That's it. So that being said, they are bringing in more talent. I do think, looking at it, I do think there's going to be more talent. I think is going to bring in maybe another win or two. So I do want to say there's going to be progression, but I do think it is a rebuilding project that's going to take a year or two. So if it's not this coming up year, I do expect in 2027 them to be more on the middle of the road MAC team, to be honest.
I mean, look at this, right? Like, and I mentioned it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
In conference, they lost by an average of 28 points. In their entire, across the other 4 games included in all of their 12 games, everyone they played it was a 14-point loss or more, except to the Bryant U Bulldogs, who were 3-9, and the Buffalo Bulls, which is in conference, which was nice. Those
Mhm.
are both one-score games. I think one was a four-point, and the other was like a 6-point game. But like they played well against the Bulls, but all the other games were like just blowouts. Like I don't know. I don't even remember. I'm sure there are teams that are that bad, but I can't think of a team myself that I can remember being that bad and then turning around and being good the next year, except for,
Yeah.
like I said, the Dolphins, which was an oddity.
Mhm. Something else I noticed here as I was looking at their recruiting class from 2026 to 2025, it looks like they recruit a lot of within their natural area of where they're located in the Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Washington, D.C., Maryland area, right? And last year and then this year, it looks like they're getting a lot more. They're expanding beyond that area. People are signing from Pennsylvania, Michigan. There's a player out of California that they brought in. This is kind of interesting. They have a 6'5" quarterback, 220 pounds, but he's not just listed as quarterback. He's listed as quarterback slash defensive tackle. That's what he's listed as a recruit that they got. That's interesting. A quarterback defensive tackle.
Which reminds me of something, but we'll talk about it after the show. I got something interesting for you.
Definitely, definitely. Any other thoughts on the UMass Minutemen? No. Okay.
I'm good. Yeah, no, I'm good. Go ahead.
Good. All right, we got some bigger teams to fry right now. Ohio Bobcats. Yes, the Ohio Bobcats. And if you don't know, Athens, Ohio is a party college town. That's what it is. Ohio has transitioned with John Hauser taking over after serving as defensive coordinator and interim coach. Athlon notes that this is Ohio's third coach in 3 years. But Hauser helped guide the team to a bowl win over UNLV. Shout out to the Ohio Bobcats. The Bobcats are projected at 7-5, which says their roster is still strong enough to contend. The key is surviving a tough schedule, loaded with toss-ups. Ball State, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Jacksonville, Kent State, Miami, Sacramento State, South Alabama. Someone asked about the South Alabama teams. And finally, Toledo has made the list as a possible toss-up team. They hadn't really been making the list of the other toss-up games. So I do expect some big things with Ohio Bobcats. They've been recruiting better. Overall, their team has starting to evolve. If you look at historically, they generally have a decent running game, and they have a well-coached defense. I think they're getting better. So being the fact that they're projected at 7-5, they did have a bowl win game. Their recruiting class looks okay. I think that you could probably expect the same type of performance going into 2026. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Missy.
Dang it.
Go ahead.
I had to run that. Oh, man. Oh. One, obviously, easily mentioning one of the better teams, like we talked about, right?
Oh, yeah.
One of two teams to go undefeated at home.
Mm-hmm.
Ended the season hot, 3-game winning streak. Again, it's so crazy to see the some of the downfalls of even some of these up teams. 2-4 on the road. Just their inability to travel well. A 9-4 team can easily been a 10-11 win team if they figure out how to take care of business on the road. Going 6-0 at home, no excuse to have a losing record on the road. Almost had a plus 100 in the points differential overall. So 6-2 in division or conference. Can't complain. I'd like to see who their 2 losses to. Do we know the 2 losses off top of hand in the conference? I'm not quite sure. That'd be interesting to see, but yeah, it's. I think depending on how things roll, I could see Ohio being one of the best teams in this conference again this year for sure, competing right up there.
Yeah, I was looking at it. You asked about conference losses because they went 6-2, right?
Yep.
Looks like they lost to Western Michigan. Wow, they lost to Ball State also.
Yeah, so see right there's a blunder for them. So you figure out that blunder, you're talking like a 7-1 conference team at that point, which puts you at 10-3. So, very interesting, very interesting. Little things like that, right? Just not taking care of the business.
Yeah, we talked about the Buffalo Bulls, right? Buffalo gave Ohio a run for their money. They lost 31-26 in that game. Looking to see who else they played that was a close game. Yeah, they had a good team last season, and I think they're gonna get a good team this season. Another interesting thing about Ohio, it doesn't look like they recruited anybody at quarterback. I'm looking here. Oh, I was wrong. They got a quarterback that is a quarterback defensive tackle who's 5'11". So again, they didn't recruit a quarterback. That's really interesting. I kind of expect Ohio to be on the upper end of this conference. They're one of my top 5 teams, which I'll talk about here at the end. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, Mystic mentioned they were undefeated. They've won 13 straight home games. They've won 23 of their last 24 home games. I mean, they were second in the conference last year, 9-4. Like Mystic said, they win the Ball State game, and they're 7-1. I mean, yeah, they lost to Western Michigan, but they were the best team in the entire conference last year. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, don't they have a brand new head coach this year?
Yeah.
And Josh Hauser, so we don't even know what that's going to look like. They signed 20 players, a running back, some offensive linemen, several defensive backs, and a quarterback, Levy Davis, which I'm guessing is the quarterback defensive tackle. Mm-hmm. This class, they specifically focused on line depth and defense, which is something that they needed. So they got some decent games coming. The thing about it, and we were kind of looking into it before the show, right? One of the things that makes their home games so great is they almost have the Buffalo Bills, the Seattle Seahawks style stadium where not necessarily that those guys' stadiums are small, but the stadium's so small that the sound is just on top of you. So, I mean, that's a hell of an advantage to have where the opposing team just can't hear anything.
Yep, I agree with that. Someone just mentioned to me we skipped a team, which we're going to go back to here in one moment. But the final thought off to Ohio, they have a big game against Nebraska. Nebraska, I know, gets loud. I don't know, a Nebraska team without their quarterback, Dylan Raiola is no longer there. Could Ohio maybe pull off an upset? I don't know. We think they're that strong to beat up on a Nebraska team?
I think they're good enough.
Is Nebraska just too tough for them still?
No, I think they could. I think they could win that game.
It's interesting. It's interesting how far Nebraska has fallen because Nebraska was a team that I thought was the team to beat. I thought they were going to be much better than where they ended up. Any thoughts on that, Mystic? Can Ohio beat Nebraska possibly? Could that be one of the MAC versus Big Ten, what do they call that? MAC versus Big Ten spoilers.
I think there's a possibility. I think Matt Rule has Nebraska prepared.
I don't know. I thought they were going to be prepared last season. You think about all the money that Nebraska invested in that team. They redid the turf. They added a whole bunch of stuff to their stadium. They were banking on being bowl contenders, even maybe college playoff contention. People talked about it. And look what happened. After that first game at Arrowhead, what happened? It was,
Could it maybe been the personality at quarterback? I don't know.
That will be interesting. If that's what it was, holy crap. That's all
I'm saying. I think it's a possibility. We'll see. We can also see that maybe Matt Rule isn't that guy. That's always a possibility as well. So I would put that on the upset calendar this year for sure. I think there's a good possibility. Where's that at?
That game is going to be played. Give me 1 second, I'll tell you. Looks like it's at Nebraska. Cornhuskers.
When is it? Is it early in the season or late?
Or it's like the first game of the season, I want to say. September 5th.
We'll see. Possible, but if it was in Ohio, man, that would be a crazy good game.
That would be a good game. I definitely agree with it.
I'll mark it down.
I will mark it down. It'd be one of my watch games and come back. And if even if it's let's say Nebraska wins, but it's like by a field goal, I think that's pretty something to say about Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's go back. I apologize. We skipped a team, Miami of Ohio. Miami, not Miami, Florida, where they have hurricanes, but Miami of Ohio, the Red Hawks. Yeah, much cooler name, Red Hawks. Miami remains one of the safest bets in the MAC because Chuck Martin has built a machine in league play. Athlon notes Miami is 20-4 in MAC play over the last 3 years. He's reached 3 straight MAC title games and won the 2023 championship. The Red Hawks are projected at 7-5, but the expectation is title contention again. Their biggest questions are offensive reload and handling swing games against Buffalo, Central Michigan, Kent State, Ohio, UConn, and Western Michigan. This is one of my top 2 teams in this conference, to be honest. I expect the Red Hawks, just like they said, like a machine, right back to work, ready to play again. The question is, do they have enough reload on the offensive side, and can they handle some of the swing games, knowing that these teams are getting better? We just laughed at UConn, but to be honest, their recruiting class has gotten better. Ohio, I'll argue that they're going to be pretty much the same Ohio team that they played last season. And then you look at teams like Central Michigan, who recruits very well, and I think that they're getting better each year. And you got Buffalo, who I think is a game that will be a toss-up. I don't think Kent State is going to be a toss-up for the Miami of Ohio. Western Michigan, maybe that might be a toss-up for them. But what do you guys think? Miami of Ohio, Red Hawks.
Well, they signed 18 high school recruits, even though they lost some to Power 4 schools. But they focused on their interior offensive line, their defensive backs, and they brought in a couple quarterbacks for a competition. So they're having a competition. But outside of that, they went in and they did they kept a good amount of their roster. They did some recruiting. They got some good transfer portal players for competition. But one of the games you left off, I don't believe I heard you say they got to play Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but these were toss-up games is what see, I think in my opinion, Steve, the toss-up games are the games that they have a higher chance of winning. When you talk about going up against Ohio State, I'll even say Pittsburgh, even though they're on the lower scale of like the ACC, for example, I still think they're going to be a much tougher team to play against than some of these teams within the MAC. So that's why they're not really brought up, to be honest.
Yeah,
But
because they have early. They open up against Pittsburgh, Holy Cross, Cincinnati, and UConn. That's
Cincinnati is going to be a tough game.
Like,
Cincinnati is always good every year in the beginning.
yeah, they got a dog's run they got to go through. So they're going to be tested early, and we're going to know what they are early in the season.
That's true. That is definitely true. We're going to definitely know what they are. The guys made 3 straight conference championship title games, so you know they're going to be good. That's the reality. Mystic, any thoughts on the Red Hawks before we move on?
No, they're one of the better teams. The team I wanted to talk about is the team that I think got gutted, which it sucks, but Toledo.
Okay, can we hold off on Toledo? We got two more middle of the road teams that we're going to talk about. Then we'll talk about Toledo last. How about that? Okay with that? All right. So the next we're going to talk about is the Sacramento State Hornets. They're brand new to the MAC. Sacramento State is the wild card of the entire conference. The Hornets joined the MAC as a football-only member on July 1st, 2026, after a strong FCS run that included 7 conference titles, 3 straight Big Sky championships from 2019 to 2022, and 4 FCS playoff appearances. Expectations should be patient but exciting. College Football News projects Sacramento State at 3-9, but the schedule gives the Hornet a potential storyline. First FBS season, first MAC game against Eastern Michigan, first MAC home game against UMass, and midweek MACtion game against I get what they're trying to say there. MAC action, get you, against against Kent State and Toledo. I think there's a storyline there. I could see them possibly beating Eastern Michigan, even beating UConn. I could see that. Come Toledo, I don't know if they can beat Toledo. Kent State, it's possible. 3-9, I don't know. 3-9, I guess for me, because Sacramento is such an unknown, anything is possible. Everything's on the table for them, right? You know they're really competitive. They have been leading up to this transition to the MAC. I think anything is possible. 3-9, okay, because they're brand new to the MAC, I give it that. But I'm going to be a little bit more. I think they're going to be a 5-7 team. I think that's fair. What do you guys think?
You know,
Mystic just had a drop the mic moment.
Well, let me drop my phone. Holy smoke. Anyway, let's, to your point of the unknown, let's see if this team comes in and cements themselves in this conference. Are you a UMass? Yeah, again, I don't know what UMass was coming in, right? So, I mean, this is just speculating without what you just talked about history-wise. Are you a UMass not winning a single game? Are you a 4-4 conference team? I think that needs to be set early, and then you'll know where this team's going to go from there. If they're a winless team, then it's only up from there. If they're that 500 in conference, then you put yourself in a damn good spot first year in the MAC to put yourself to build forward, right? To bring in those recruits to help build that program.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. It's going to be really interesting what they do with who they bring in. I'm not going to really grade them in year 1. It'll be great year 2 and 3 that I grade them mostly. But looking in their first year of recruiting just for 2026, they've already hit the road running. They have several 3-star recruits, including a transfer out of University of Colorado. The cornerback, Noah King. Noah King is going to be playing for Sacramento State. So that'll be very interesting on what they do. But they've already hit the road running. Their top recruit, it seems to be, is out of Orlando, Florida. Jaya Walls. He's a inside linebacker. played for Menard Evans High School.
You know what's interesting about Sacramento State and their ability to recruit?
Mm.
So, like I said earlier when we were talking about them, they're the only West Coast team ever to join the MAC. They have the entirety of California to draw talent from. They don't have to share talent from the same area like the rest of them do.
Yeah.
I got a hot take for you. I think they win 9 games this year.
9 games. That is
9
very.
games.
Hey, they are a wild card. Nobody knows what to expect, and maybe that first year they come out and win 9 games, but maybe they get figured out in year 2 before you see that transition where they have to transition to MAC football. You know what I mean? They also got a 3-star recruit out of Tampa, Florida. I don't know if you saw this. Andre Brown, the cornerback. He went to Gaither High School. I apologize if I didn't say that correctly.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, 3-star recruit. 6 foot, 175 pounds. So shout out to Sacramento State Hornets. I did not know I would be talking them up that much, to be honest, because I was like, who? When I heard about Sacramento State. All right, Western Michigan. Western Michigan enters 2026 as the team to beat. Lance Taylor's program broke through with a 10-4 season, a MAC championship over Miami, and the program's first bowl win since 2021. College Football News projects Western Michigan at 9-3, the highest win total in the MAC, and even calls the Broncos a sneaky college football playoff push team, with teams returning offensive starters and momentum from a championship season. Western Michigan should be the preseason favorite until someone knocks them off. And I agree. They have a lot of offensive starters returning. They're very well coached. They won the championship. They, were 10-4. Very sneakily could be a college football playoff team. They're definitely in my top 5 in college football playoff contenders. What do you guys think of Western Michigan?
I think that from what you just told me, there's no excuses. It sounds like they have everything where they need to. It sounds like it's if the ball's in your court, can you handle the pressure and take care of business?
Fair enough. What do you think, Steve?
I think they got a lot to carry on their shoulders. I mean, they were 8-1 in division last year, 10-4 in the conference, or it's 8-1 in their conference, 10-4 overall. They're a team that has a high flying offense when it wants to get going. The fast receivers, athletic defensive backs, like they've recruited well. They've done very well. They just got to keep going, and they got to reach that next step and show that they're worthy of maybe even moving conferences one day to a better conference.
Yeah, they also got a transfer out of University of Tennessee, Brendan Annis, inside linebacker. So that'll be very interesting. They got a lot of community college players, it looks like, JC players. They got the kid out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, Cordell Goolsby, I think is how you pronounce it, wide receiver. They brought in players from teams like Butler Community College, Hutchinson Community College, and Hines Community College as well. So a lot of JC athletes that came in as part of the recruiting class. But they're led by the Lakewood, Ohio St. Edward High School cornerback, 5'10", 170 pounds, Broden Moore. So that's going to be really interesting. I'm looking at their recruiting trail. They recruit a lot out of the Midwest, it looks like. A lot out of the Midwest and just south in the Kentucky and Tennessee region. So very interesting team. They're that team to beat. Any final thoughts before we move on to Toledo?
I think I was reading Vegas, I think, has them as either the best or the second best projections to win the division again, or the conference again.
Yeah, I kind of have them at my top as well, which I'm about to get into. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting in what they do. Let's talk about the Toledo Rockets. Yes, they are called the Toledo Rockets. It's a school that I used to go to, University of Toledo. So we will definitely talk about them. Toledo is always dangerous, and even with a coaching change, the Rockets are projected at 8-4. Athlon calls Mike Jacobs one of the top hires of coaching cycle and points his winning background at Notre Dame and at Lenore, Rhine, and Mercer College. If you look at his winning background, he has a lot to offer. The expectation is MAC title contention right away. Toledo's swing games against Ball State, Bowling Green, Buffalo, Eastern Michigan, Ohio, Sacramento, San Diego State, and Temple and Western Michigan will decide whether the Rockets are simply good or championship level. In addition, you look at the recruiting that they brought in. They've brought in several recruits over this past season. Let me pull that up here. I had the information here momentarily. So they brought in their top recruit. They actually signed a 4-star recruit. This is the only MAC team that I have found this 2026 cycle that has a 4-star recruit actually signed. That's Carmen Flowers, the wide receiver out of West Bloomingfield, Michigan. Went to West Bloomingfield High School, just so you guys know. On top of it, inside linebacker out of Cincinnati, Ohio, Maddox Arnold, Dwayne Kelly, the cornerback out of Baltimore, Maryland. They have several high-rated 3-star recruits on this team. In fact, they signed a shit ton. Holy crap. You look at transfers, they have transfers from University of Wisconsin, Purdue, some JC players, it looks like University of Cincinnati, Northern Illinois transfers, South Florida transfer, Langston Long transferred to go there, the outside linebacker. What can you tell me about Langston Long, Steve?
He was an okay player. He was a rotational edge for us.
Rotational edge. This if you look at the recruiting class, it looks very well equipped, to be honest, especially with the amount of different positions. You see a lot of depth pieces put together, and some high level talent on the top end of it. We also, for Florida people, Naples High School player running back Sean Simon. It's Simeon. I apologize if I do not pronounce that correctly. He also signed to go there as well. Yeah, for me, Toledo is one of the top 5 teams to beat. What do you think, Mystic? You wanted to talk about them. Go ahead.
I mean, we talk about who was the best football team in the MAC last year. It was the Toledo Rockets from a statistical standpoint. Excuse me. In conference, they gave up 73 points. Yeah, they lost 2 games, but their offense scored 250 points in 8 conference games.
Yeah.
They scored 400 points total, going obviously 8-5, and overall only gave up another 100 points to out-of-conference games. So you're talking about a really damn good football team. Again, 2-4 on the road, undefeated. The other undefeated at home team. I don't know what it is about getting your product to travel, or maybe you are just taking on those bigger teams, right? And that's just how it works sometimes. I don't know, but when you look at this, like I said, overall landscape of what this team was, this was the best team in the MAC last year. They definitely had a hell of an opportunity to win the MAC. Had the offense, had the defense. It looks like just maybe those little circumstances at times where you don't take care of the little things in the game, right? And it costs you and you lose, right? That's what I'm seeing with this team. But this was the best team in the MAC last year. We'll see with obviously losing some of the guys that they lost to the draft, this and that. We'll see. but I definitely think there's a real possibility that they're still one of the best teams in the MAC this year.
One thing I want to say real quick, Steve, real quick. University of Toledo's former head coach, which let me bring up his name. He has like a name that I don't remember off the top of my head. Let me bring it up real quick.
Jason Candle.
There we go, Jason Campbell. He actually was considered a possibility at offensive coordinator for teams like Ohio State when we were trying to find a replacement offensive coordinator. His name came up. He is an offensive-minded coach, and it kind of plays into what you're saying about how many points they put on teams, right? We're talking about a team that had NFL talent. One of me and Steve's favorite players in this NFL draft, Emmanuel Warren, honestly was one of the topper end. We thought he could be first-round talent, and he was on that Rocket team. So it'll be very interesting. But one last thing before Steve goes. University of Toledo, I just looked in 2026. If you add their transfer portal and their recruiting together, they have over 31 commits that they've added in 1 year. 31. That's a shit ton of player personnel that they just brought in.
Wow.
I'm telling you right now, I think they're building to win right off the get-go. They're not wasting any time. Go ahead.
So you ready for some interesting stuff?
Yeah, definitely.
So their new head coach, Mike Jacobs. Do you know that name by chance, Ollie?
Sounds very, very familiar.
Okay, so he was a former offensive lineman for Ohio State.
Yeah.
He is their new head coach. He's an offensive head coach. He's coming from Mercer, where he's won multiple championships and had multiple playoff appearances in the FCS, right? Mm-hmm. So it comes with a winning pedigree. They are the biggest question mark for me. And I say that because they have a lot of talent. Even when they lost to the NFL, they have a lot of talent. They recruited well. They hit the transfer portal. But it's a brand new head coach, brand new staff. This team, we could be looking at week 12, right? And be like, damn, are they going to be the wild card team to make the playoffs this year that nobody saw coming? That team that nobody saw coming. Because we saw that with who was it last year? Mason and who were the two weird teams? Who are the two weird teams that made the playoffs?
Tulane and
James Madison.
James Madison. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
If everything starts clicking, I think they could be that team this year. But in the inverse, this could be rough. New head coach, stepping up into a better conference. I don't know. I have a lot of hopes for this team, though. Vegas has them as their favorite, I believe, to win the division. I believe it was On3 has them as the number one favorite to make the MAC championship. Like, this team they have a real shot to win if everything's clicking like it's supposed to.
Yeah, it is. It is very interesting. And just real quick, because I did mention Notre Dame. It's actually not Notre Dame as in South Bend, but it's actually Notre Dame of Ohio, which I guess Notre Dame of Ohio has their own college football team. That's actually where he coached as well. Surprisingly enough, I should know his name because he actually was born in Maumee, Ohio. So I wouldn't be surprised if I actually should know more about him, but I don't, unfortunately. So that is kind of surprising for me. But when I was talking about former Toledo coaches, you mentioned Matt Campbell, but Matt Campbell's not the most recent one. It was Jason Candle is who you're talking about, right? Is that who you were referencing?
Candle. I had started to say it.
I thought you said Matt Campbell because Matt Campbell was the coach there before Jason Candle.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So Matt Campbell, who was the Iowa State coach that now became the Penn State coach, he was the coach there at Toledo from 2012 to 2015. Had a 35-15 record. That's actually pretty good, to be honest. You go back prior to that, you had guys like Gary Pinkel, Tom Amstutz, and even Tom Beckham that was a coach there. But you know who coached at University of Toledo? The GOAT of all college football coaching, Nick Saban, was a coach at University of Toledo. Toledo has always had a coach that nobody knows who they are, and they come out of nowhere and they become very successful. Maybe not necessarily at Toledo, but then their next school, that's where they become very successful. And you're like, holy shit, he used to be the Toledo coach. They always had that in their entire time frame that I've in my lifetime. So even Gary Pinkel was very successful until they moved on to, I think he went to be a coach somewhere else, actually.
Yeah, Toledo's known for putting out coaches, and I can't believe I said that. I didn't know. I did know Matt Campbell went there because I was literally just looking at it on my notes.
Yeah.
The Rockets are known for producing coaches. Former Toledo coaches include Nick Saban and Matt Campbell.
And actually, here we go. Gary Pinkel went from Toledo. He went to the SEC and became the head coach of the Missouri Tigers. And he was there for I want to say from 2001 to 2015. So about 14 years, he was the coach at Missouri after being the Toledo coach for 9 years. So that's just to give you an example of success rate. So it's really interesting. I have Toledo as one of my top 5 to win it. The reality is the MAC is still one of the hardest conferences to get into the college football playoff because a group of 6 champion not only has to win its conference, but it has to finish at the highest ranked non-power conference champion to realistically secure a college football playoff spot. The path exists, but it usually requires a dominant record like a 12-1 or 13-0, a MAC championship, and ideally a quality non-conference win over a power conference opponent. Since I'll give you an example, the year that Toledo beat Penn State at Penn State, and if they went on this wild undefeated run, that would have been something to talk about. Yeah, they could probably get into that college football playoff. However, under the expanded college football playoff format, the MAC champion has a better shot than in the old 4-team era. But there's almost no margin for error. The team with the best chance entering the 2026 season is Western Michigan. I brought that up earlier. The Broncos are the defending MAC champions after a breakout 2025 season and return with the league's most momentum. National preview projections place them around 9-3, the best projected record in the conference, and analysts view them as the preseason MAC favorite. If Western Michigan can run through conference play and steal a major non-conference win, they become the MAC's clearest college football playoff candidate. The Broncos have already shown they can separate themselves from the league by winning the conference and carrying a national respect into the following year. The second best team, in my opinion, is Miami of Ohio. I already mentioned Chuck Morton's program. It's like a machine. They every year, the past 3 seasons, has either been in the championship or won the championship, right? I already mentioned that before. Toledo arguably is my number 3. Toledo is my number 3. I think that they have a very strong chance. You looked at what their recruiting I already mentioned it. They have with transfers included, they have 31 commits that they brought in. You look at everyone they brought in, they've addressed every major position: offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, quarterback, wide receiver, running back. They have addressed everywhere up and down. They're the only MAC team that I saw looking at their recruiting got a 4-star recruit. They had 1, right? So that's really interesting. I think those 3 teams have the biggest chance, in my opinion, to possibly sneak into the college football playoff. There's 2 dark horses, though. Ohio, who has bringing in consistency, has a strong chance. I think they could possibly get in. And then the other one, which is an outside shot looking in, is Central Michigan. They definitely have a possibility with what they've brought in as well. You know, the Chippewas, they look like they're pretty strong. You know, going in with the recruiting class, and what you look at their schedule too, I think it's kind of favorable in a sense. But ultimately, Western Michigan enters the year as, you know, most likely to possibly get into the college football playoff. It's still a long shot, but I think Western Michigan has the best chance. But Western Michigan, Miami, Toledo, who knows? Every year is possible. What do you guys think of that? My prediction, it's Western Michigan, but what do you guys think?
Honestly, it's a solid take. I think it's a safe bet for sure. Honestly, I think I like it. As much
I
as
like
want
that
to go,
Toledo take, though. I love Toledo, what they're doing.
that's what I was gonna say. As much as I want to go with Toledo, yeah, it's like I think it's one of those for me, right? If it's not Western Michigan, I think it's Toledo.
What do you think, Steve?
I actually agree with Mystic. I think that's the safe choice. I think if you were throwing darts at the wall, Toledo would have the biggest part of the target, or Toledo, Western Michigan would have the largest piece of the target. There's something about Toledo, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just recency bias in doing the research I did for the show tonight, but I have a weird feeling. I don't know. I have a weird feeling. But I also I as much as I think Toledo, I think I do stand on, I think you could get surprised by Sac State.
I was about to say, that's my hot take for tonight, is that watch Sacramento State come in and say, you know what? You said college football playoff. We know how to win playoff games. Just look at our record and flip the table.
Like, I don't know, man. This might be a really good year for the MAC.
I think it's going to be exciting, to be honest. College football is just becoming more and more exciting. There's been talks, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but there's been more and more talk about expanding the college football playoff more than the 12 team or the format that they have now. So will they go to a much larger format? You saw the college basketball. What is it going to be? Something crazy next year, right, Mistake, that they've agreed to? Or is it the year after that they're going to a bigger format?
Say that one more time.
College basketball. What's the new format? They're going to like 72 teams or something?
Oh my goodness, yes. It was like, it's like, what is it right now?
I want to say it's 64 team, and now they're going to.
They want to go to 72, which is wild.
I'm not saying we should do that for college football. I'm not advocating for that. But what I am advocating for is something that seems more fair. Maybe you have 12, maybe a 24 team, so it's 12 teams on both sides.
They're talking 26 right now.
26? Okay.
Yep.
All right, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be ridiculous. That's a conversation we should have. What is the proper format for college football? We should definitely talk about that in a near show. But let's get into everyone's favorite, not everyone's favorite segment, because that means towards the end of the show. It's a wild season that starts off with the heart of America, with the Mid-American Conference. Yes, I said the heart of America because I think it's leagues like the Mid-American Conference or the AACC or whatever it's called now, or the Midwest. I'll even argue the Midwest, or the Big 12. You know, conferences like that really drive college football throughout the season. It's not always the SEC, the Big 10, or the ACC, or even actually, does the Pac-12 even exist anymore? That's a whole nother conversation. But the point is that these small schools deserve love, and I think that there's going to be some surprises that are going to come out of the MAC. For the past 2-3 seasons, we've seen back-to-back NFL talent come out of the MAC. In fact, in his rookie season, a corner, top first round talent corner that got picked, won the Super Bowl out of the MAC. In fact, in that game, I think there was 5 or 6 MAC players in that Super Bowl being played at that time. So what I'm saying is the MAC is something that we need to pay attention to. And I think there's going to be some real exciting games. Maybe not the whole season, but I think there's going to be some games definitely worth the watch. What do you think, Mystic? What are your final thoughts on the Mid-American Conference?
Yeah, I'm excited to see the new additions that are coming in this year. What's Sacramento State going to look like? Where are they going to land? They definitely have an interesting schedule. You have some of these top teams. They do have some turnover, but they are very good about filling the needs of where those turnovers are, right? So curious to see how that's going to be. Can some of these teams that were knocking on the door, can they take care of some of those in-game adjustments and get to the next level, right? Like, I think it's a very underrated league that a football fan would enjoy watching. A very close conference that it's going to come down to that last week.
Yeah, I agree with that. What do you think, Steve?
I think this has been very fun to look into. Like, I'm interested because we talked about maybe next week looking at the American Conference. I'd like to look into Mountain West and the Sun Belt. Like, it's fun for me looking into these, I want to say smaller conferences, but they kind of are, right? Like the in the tiers, right? There's we always say that there's levels to this, right? And it's nice to look at these smaller teams that really, I think, just get looked over just for name recognition alone. Like, when you think of college, you think of the SEC and the Big Ten and the ACC, right? Like, you don't think of the Mountain Wests, and I'll be honest, like, before I started looking into doing this type of stuff, I didn't know there was this many conferences. So this has been.
I still even, as long as I've been a college football fan, I've always been, a big advocate for like the Power Four conferences, right? I've always watched teams along that, and come to find out, there's all these like the FCS championship series, the championship playoff. I'm like, what the hell is that? I didn't even know there was like all these lower conferences, and come to find out, there's like hundreds and hundreds of teams I've never even heard of before.
I mean, there's a FCS Division I AA called Ohio Valley.
Yeah. So I don't even know what they are. So I'm sitting there like, what? Where does that school come from? So like the Sacramento State, for example. So, well, it is definitely very interesting and exciting. I want to say, let's switch it up since we did small conference. Why don't we go to a larger conference in the next one? And Mystic might like this. How about we break down the Big 12 in the next episode? What do you guys think? The Big 12. Yeah, we can talk about the Big 12. I think there's a lot to talk about them. I want to talk about Texas Tech and their air raid offense. So let's definitely talk about that. Everybody hit the like button. Subscribe if you're brand new. Shout out to Rashad. I didn't shout out to you because I didn't see your comments till later. I'm sorry about that. But if there is a conference or a team that you want us to talk about or break down after this show on YouTube at the bottom, put your comments there, right? Or send me a DM on X. Follow me at 4th and 10U and send me a DM, and I'll be glad to schedule that into our show for sure. Man, I'm excited now. You got the whole take on University of Toledo and talking about Western Michigan. I'm kind of excited to see what happens in the MAC now. So very exciting. But yeah, any final thoughts before we let everyone go?
No, we appreciate everyone for taking the time to be with us tonight and enjoy this breakdown, and we look forward to doing many more for you guys. Have a great one.
All right. See y'all later. Till next time.